Oh no, you're fine.
Ah,
Perfectly fine.
these things happen. Um, Good afternoon. Oh, good
Good
day.
afternoon. Well,
Good
yeah,
day.
it's just about the noon hour for me over here.
Yeah,
Should
yeah.
be in a few minutes. Weather's rainy, like it would normally be considered over there on your side of the pond, but we're finally getting some water, which is what we really
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
This river's very shallow right now. That dam does not look like that right now. It's very well, it is now that it's been raining all night, but
Yeah.
it's been very dry lately around here.
Well, we're not going to complain because we've got the sun at the moment. We're in a heat
Oh,
wave.
you too.
Well, a mini heat wave, an August heat wave. So that's good. Um,
You stole it from us. Now I get it.
yep,
Okay.
yep. We're swapped. We're swapped because it was the way around
Really
last week.
good. I'm going to zoom out a little bit myself here.
Okay.
Not so prevalent in the photo here. Let me see, because I want to be able to bring my screen up in a little bit. Oh, I
Okay.
cut the folders off.
Right.
So how has your week been today, Stephen?
The week so far has been pretty good, pretty busy, and keeping customers happy and sort of taking the news. Anyway, welcome to Across the Pond with myself and Leland, and Leland and I today are going to discuss what's been happening. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of
Um,
stuff happening, actually. I saw you just wrote an article recently with regards to what shall we call it, the death of Blab. I did the quote thing. I shouldn't do that.
no,
That's
no.
so out of style.
I mean, they switched off, didn't they? They just said, right, that's it. We're finished. I think the way in which they closed down could have been improved on. What do you think?
Well, it's funny you say that because I mean, I've seen both sides of the coin in the last week because obviously, what day was it they went down? Last
Sunday,
Friday? Sunday. Yeah,
Friday,
that's
sorry,
right.
yeah,
Sunday.
Friday, yeah, it was the weekend, yeah.
And, I saw a lot of people, and don't doubt me one bit when I say Blab brought together a community of individuals, which was outstanding. What they pulled off there that they really didn't even realize they were doing was amazing. What Sean did at the end and how he turned it off and the letter that he wrote, it was pretty offensive, if you ask me, to those who broadcasted it out there on that platform. And they put a lot of blame on people saying that they didn't know what they were doing. They did terrible shows, kind of thing, and nobody would want to watch them. I thought that was ridiculous. And I saw a post recently, and I'll probably share it here in a little bit. I'll go dig it
Okay.
up. That was done by Johnny Illuminati. I don't know if you
Hmm.
recall him from Blab. Did you see the
Yeah,
post he did?
yeah, I did. And
Oh, did
you
you?
think you think he was on the money?
In a way, I do. It was what I wanted to say when I first read Sean's letter because I felt that way about Sean in a sense from day one. But I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be
Yep.
polite, so I'm not going to just rehash it and put my 2 cents in. My 2 cents is just going to be I shared that on my live pages because it was more in tune with how I felt after the
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah. I mean,
I
there are
still love
two.
the community though.
Well, there are two separate things, aren't there? There's Team Blab,
Yes.
which was Brittany, which was Justin, which was Anna, and they did a sterling job all the way through until they left each in turn. And you just said they built an amazing community,
Yeah.
and then just let it go. I mean, the writing was on the wall when they said that they didn't want to do shows, and it's at
Yeah.
that point that everybody said, right, okay, we'll move platforms, and John and I moved Loving for Britain to here, uh,
Mhm.
and we'll come on to the reasons why when we do a review in a moment. But the sort of the 12 months. I mean, we were on Blood for nearly a year or just over a year, and it was an enjoyable experience, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I mean, I showed up on the platform in November of 2015, and I actually met Jonathan Tripp the first day. Well, it wasn't the first day. The first day I was out there, I met William Slays and ColecoVision, who was the Emmy or is it Emmy Grammy
Yeah,
winning artist. He's a sound engineer who worked on We Are the World with Michael Jackson.
yeah,
He was one of the first, and we were online on Blab for like 5 hours that night, and we were trying to figure out how we could syndicate out to YouTube Live through a Hangout, and we did it
yeah.
that night. It was actually
Brilliant.
amazing. Pulled it off, but I became good friends with those two individuals right off the bat. And then it wasn't but a week later that I met Jonathan out there, and then I just started to show up on his personal broadcast, which is a solo effort, really, what he brought
Yeah.
over from Periscope. And then we decided, you know what, let's do a show. I'll co-host, and you go ahead and run the show, John, and we'll see what happens. And then, 100 episodes almost later, here Blab Nation was born, and we had almost 400 followers behind us. And then I went off on my own, and I did my own shows, and it was an amazing experience. And I had about 1,500 followers out on Blab.
Yeah.
And enjoyed every minute of it. Got to meet a lot of good people.
Yeah, I can echo those thoughts. I mean, a lot of good people got involved, came on the shows, and I mean, I did probably around about 80, 90 shows there, and
Oh yeah, I
it was
bet.
an enjoyable time. We introduced numerous people to the technology, and the technology is the same as the one that we're using today, which is
Yes.
TalkBox and WebRTC. So I think that he did shoot himself in the foot. Did Sean at the end? He could have just said, thanks for everything. We
Yeah.
appreciate what you've done, but it's not what we were aiming for. We want another Bebo, um, and everybody would have been happy and would have looked forward to the reincarnation, if it happens, of a video chat at some
And
future
I don't
point.
and I'm not going to throw any bad words out there about Sean. I think Johnny Illuminati did his share in expressing the angst that a lot of people had with the way they parted ways with, the people who use the platform. A lot of people I know probably lost their information if they weren't in touch with the fact that it was going to go away soon, that they had to go get their downloads before it did shut down, because now you can't even access the servers. It's completely down. Um, but I see there's a lot of other stuff going on with the people behind Blab, or Bebo
Oh,
anyway. I
okay,
don't know
yeah.
if you saw the other post.
No,
So
no.
I'm going to carry over 1 second here. Someone in our group actually posted this, and I'm just going to bring it up behind me. I think we'll do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and bring the Facebook in behind me so you can see what's going on. This is our Facebook group over at Born to Stream Live. But somebody right here posted, and I'm going to shift over to the side. This is actually Michael Birch, who was the person behind the. I don't know if you can see that on the
Yeah,
screen here.
you
Let me.
can see it. Yeah, the
Okay, so you
photo.
can see him. He was the tycoon, the money guy behind. When it comes to Sean Purry, he was simply a management team. He was a guy that was handed money to perform and create something from Bebo when it was originally sold to AOL for 850 million. And then several years later, due to AOL's failure to produce a live streaming platform, a social network that they wanted to create from Bebo, and the fact that Twitter came on the scene and Instagram and all that came on the scene and kind of pushed it out into the background, Michael Birch decided, okay, well, we've got an opportunity to buy it back. So in 2013, they made a large announcement that gave them the opportunity to buy Bebo back for like $1 million. It was
Yeah.
ridiculously cheap, but he bought it in an auction, supposedly. And there's a lot of still like old, um, I can't think of the term right now. When you do an announcement on media, a media blurb,
PR.
that basically said what was going on.
Yeah.
And then this one came up. I guess Michael's been over buying out some stuff over on your end of the pond. He's actually trying to work in Devon Village,
Yeah.
and he's purchased a fish and chips place. He's purchased some other buildings. He's obviously a California tycoon, but he's trying to transform Woolsery. Are you familiar with this area?
It's a small village. I'm familiar with Devon and Cornwall, which is down southwest of England.
Okay.
It's sort of roundabout, let's see, Bude or Newquay or Torquay, that sort of
Okay.
area. And it's an old village which basically had been left to go to
Yeah.
rack and ruin because the population couldn't support, as you say, they couldn't support it. So the youngsters left, and now because of Mr. Birch.
Yeah, he's bought the Woolsery Fish and Chips, and he's also bought a couple of the other buildings on site, and he's going to try, they're dilapidated, I guess, so he's going to
Yeah.
try and reconstruct these buildings. And his family, I guess, has been around this town, his ancestors, since 1700.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
right here in this part of the article. And you can find out more, too, if you happen to find this article out there on BBC News. You'll be able to locate Bebo tycoon Michael Birch invests in Devon Village. And toward the bottom, you'll find some associated stories about what we spoke about earlier with the Bebo social network, buying it back for $1 million. And also, you know, how Michael and Zachi actually started Bebo back in 2010, and how Sean Purry got involved in this through another business adventure. And it wasn't actually the Flying Pigs either. It was Monkeys Evolved or something like that was the name of the actual network that was involved with this transfer. So a little bit of news there.
Yep.
And yeah, here's Sean Purry. It's spoken. Here it is right here. In a statement, Monkey Inferno head. He was Sean Purry was the head of Monkey Inferno.
Yeah.
Is the original company that was at odds in this whole investment. And they are the ones who made the public announcement when they actually decided to take this back from AOL. And you can still find some information about Monkey Inferno out there. There's actually a website out there still with the public announcement. So.
Yeah. But it's good to see Michael Birch doing actually benefiting a Devon village, which otherwise would have just decayed and people would have just left. I should have to check it out next time I'm down in that area. And
where's everybody going?
Take some photographs and bring them back here.
That would be awesome. I'd love to see that, because they didn't do a very good job of showing the actual village and what's taking place over there, or how much of it he owns, or how big it is, or anything. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that you could do before I get there is Google Street View. May well have something on that.
So it's Devon Wolsey, UK, right?
Yeah.
And that was WOOLSEY?
Yep. I think so.
Let's see what we can, maybe we can find something here. So where's everybody going to go now that they have no Blab?
That's an excellent question. And I think there are 3 definite alternatives and 1 punt if you just want to chat. And we can talk about those when you've...
1 punt, I can imagine. Where is my street view here? This is Ecosia. I'm not familiar with this. I don't know how I ended up here on a Google search, but that's okay. I think what I'll do is I'll see if I can dig this up while we're talking about the next one. I know both of us have been over and attempted to play around with Huza.
That's right. I mean, the first alternative, I mean, we're on Firetalk, we'll come back to that in a minute, but Huza or Huzzah or HUZZA or HUZZA, and they're not bothered how you pronounce it as long as you use it. It's a commercial platform. It's a commercial platform, isn't it?
Yeah, primarily, but it was put together by 2 guys from your side of the pond, right? Or no? Did they go to school? And where'd they go to school at? They went to school somewhere in oh geez, there are a couple of Harvard grads, I believe.
Yeah.
But they have an accent. Where are they from? Are they from Canada?
Oh, sorry, no, right. Okay, you're talking about the accent. They are from South Africa.
Are they?
And that's Justin Wormersley and Nick Schmidt.
Okay.
And they started in sort of 2015. So they're South African, but they are resident. I take it resident in the US at the moment.
Okay. Because I don't know much about them.
Right. Well, I managed to catch a couple of town halls that they've done, and they seem to run those every month. But what do you make of Huzzah?
I have an account. I have gotten on it, but I get on it early before a lot of the people are now jumping in. A lot of those who are paying for the fuller service. I have not paid for the service. I have used their broadcast platform. I haven't even tried the beta version of getting onto Facebook Live through the back end yet. I don't really have a lot of desire to play around with too many platforms anymore, to be honest with you. I spent a lot of time doing that, and you know that. I've reviewed and evaluated, and I've been such a big proponent for Firetalk, Stephen, honestly. And I'm always in daily connection with these guys over here at Firetalk that I don't know. I almost feel like I'm, stepping out of line sometimes if I go somewhere else. But I just really like this platform. I'm comfortable here. I love the interface. So for me, I don't have a desire or a need to spend any more time in other platforms right now. I see them when they come out and I look at them. I also have Webinar Ninja as like a WebRTC webinar platform if I ever want to use that. So I'm a lifetime member with that. So I don't really need many more tools. I'm happy where I'm at now.
Well,
what about you? I know you've used it a lot more than I have.
Yeah, I've used Huzza. John and I, and good afternoon, John. John and I did a show on there, just checking everything out, and it is capable. The video is good, better than it was on Blab. Sound is good. The recording is good. So you can't really fault the platform, other than the fact that it is a paying platform. There is a free version, and the free version allows up to 25 viewers and one host. So if you wanted to, as I did the other day, you want to use Huzza just to broadcast to Facebook Live and use Huzza to do all the processing, then I can say that works well. So you just start a show on Huzza, and once you've gone live, you press the Facebook Live button, and that's it.
Okay.
And you've gone live on Facebook. That works. It works seamlessly. I mean, you don't have to enter any keys or anything. You just press once and you're live on Facebook. But we'll come to this because you've got a 30-second delay between being live on Huzza and appearing on Facebook, which means that you can't really do it single-handed. If you're going to run a show which is in two places, you need at least two people. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. I've tried, and I do what I tend to do when I simulcast. Like, for instance, through vMix, I'll tend to simulcast to Facebook and Firetalk at the same time. If I'm going to do, or YouTube Live and Facebook even at the same time. So it could be either or. I depend on Restream.io if I want to broadcast to more than that at once, because then I'm not sending out more than one or two feeds at once, because my bandwidth is very limited over here. So I like to stick to less than two feeds going out. That saves me a lot of effort. But I don't use Restream that much as of late. I think I've spent more time just coming out here into Firetalk or recording video in-house and then putting it up on YouTube. And obviously there's a big shift going on over at YouTube right now also with the closure of Hangouts on air. Well, it's not a closure, and it's been misspoken a lot in media already. The Verge had an article that, you know, Hangouts is going to close and all this, but it's not. It's just being shifted over to the YouTube Live platform with it as a quick way to start up a live event. You can still use the event system within YouTube Live, but they are going to strip down some of the features. So how's that going to affect what we're doing here also when it comes to simulcasting? I don't think it's going to affect much, but, you know, as far as Huzza goes, I see it being a great platform for people who want to pay and bring an audience in and do training and workshops and, you know, the private group effort. And then if they want to broadcast out to Facebook, let people see what's going on. But it would be so difficult to try and maintain the chat consistently because you have two different, you know, audiences, obviously. And that's something that YouTube Live is going, well, Hangouts on Air is taking away from Hangouts. They're going to expect you to use social media channels as your Q&A and as your ability to connect with your audience, rather than using the Q&A system that was built into HOA before. So
so they're forcing you to use Facebook or something similar to run the conversation on it.
Yeah, a little bit. I think so.
The other thing, Huzza, we know that Social Media Examiner is on there. They have a live audience on the platform between 100 and 150. And they were saying last week that of the 100 and 150, they will on average watch about 35 minutes. When they put it out to Facebook Live and they can get an audience of 4,000, the audience of 4,000 are watching for 10 seconds at a time. So that's the difference, isn't it?
Well, the metric that's involved with the way that Facebook shows whether your event has been viewed or not is kind of skewed. It's really about if it even rolls through somebody's timeline and they get a glimpse of it, they're considered a viewer. And that's not, to me, a good way to balance your metric or be able to understand your viewership, because it's just not accurate. So I don't rely on Facebook Live's numbers at this time to tell me who's watching and how many people are actively a participant on my feed. I think the replays tell you a little bit more about what's going on in that regard, because I catch a lot of them after the fact. A lot of the times they
Yeah.
come through my news feed and it said, I see them go live, but I'm usually in the middle of something. So it's like, okay, well, and then I click a few minutes later, they're already gone and I'm just watching the replay. So I think that metric's more important than any live metric that's actually available for Facebook video right now.
That's true. And just coming back to Huzza for a moment, Barb's saying that the viewer experience is good and she's enjoying watching shows on there. I mean, I make a point of being here at 11 on Friday. You're 11, not mine. To watch Social Media Examiner live. Because one point I want to come to, all the platforms we're going to talk about are based on TalkBox and WebRTC.
Yeah.
And WebRTC is a Google. Let Google look after it, don't they?
I don't know. Is it primarily Google? I don't know that Google owns WebRTC.
No, it's open source, so it's available to everybody. But they well, they developed the original software and then put it out and said, right, everybody's free to use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one thing I've been seeing too with like Google Hangouts itself. And that's why I tend to warn people when they say Hangouts is dead. No, Hangouts itself, the actual caller metric or the caller platform that was used for text messaging, calls, and live video is still alive and well, and it's actually running on WebRTC now. A lot of people that haven't used it in a year wouldn't know that. So if you have not tried Hangouts, just the hangouts.google.com, go check it out, because it's a platform that allows for 10 people to sit in live. The video is high quality, 720p, and you can get in there and share your screen. I'm sure now that Hangouts on Air is shifting over to YouTube Live, that the WebRTC platform and interface and features with Hangouts is probably going to change a little bit.
Yeah.
But another thing just came out yesterday, if you didn't see my post, Stephen, which was Google's Duo app. Now, this was announced during I/O6, or I/O 2016, but the difference here is it's a two-person replay. They're trying to go against FaceTime from Apple. But the fact that this app interfaces with Android and Apple is going to be a game changer, because now and if you haven't seen the demo before, I can maybe pull something up, but that's something that will take just a second for me to do. It's one of those things where you see the other person on your phone in real time before you answer the call, and you have a minute to answer the phone. And then when you do, it's an instant connection from what you're seeing on the screen. It's seamless right into the live video that the person is offering to you on the other end. And it's going to have some other features involved with it also. But that just was announced to go live yesterday, but you still have to pre-register for the app because they haven't fully released the app yet. So it's kind of a weird announcement that they made yesterday, but it has gone live.
So it's going to the App Store or to Google Play. And as Leland just said, register. And I think, as you say, this is a very strong point that you can talk to somebody on an iPhone from your Android.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the game changer. What you're actually doing is uniting the world, really.
I think so.
People are on iPhones won't swap, and people on Android probably won't swap either, but now they can talk to each other.
Here was the announcement here.
Right. Okay.
I don't think they have. Here's a video example. Let me see if I can. I'm not even going to show. Well, maybe I can. I might be able to offer a little bit of sound, but I'm going to try to avoid that. Okay. This is basically just screenshots of the app. So let me just move out of the way here for a second. This is going to be the screen you see when your phone is ringing. It'll be a live video, and all you do is swipe, and you're instantly connected seamless to the video that you're watching. So I thought that was kind of cool that you can kind of tease people with video when you call them. I'm careful to say what might show up on that screen.
Okay.
From really close friends, but let's hope that's kept to a minimum. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. There's a lot happening, a great deal happening. I I'm going to share my screen, hopefully, if I just set this up.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
We'll move on through.
You had an article that you were expressing
Yeah.
some really good points about these new live platforms and where everybody's headed.
Yep. So I'm going to screen share, and hopefully it will come up on the
You're
screen.
the only one that controls that.
Right.
Now we're down here in the corner. I love this little thing.
All right. Okay. So let's go from the top. Huzza is created by Justin Wormsley and Nick Smith, as we said earlier. And there's the key points. Easy enough for the setup, chat, have discussion and fun, instant replay. Now at a glance, they've got the website and they've got Twitter and Facebook accounts. You can do up to 6 on the screen. Now that can have some problems process-wise, can't it?
Yeah, not only process-wise, but I think it can get a little noisy when you have 6 people in there, because do they have, and correct me if I'm wrong, does it have the focus filtering that we used to have on Blab, where when someone spoke, the other person was drowned out on their audio, because that allows for someone to elevate their voice and kind of take charge of the conversation. That way you can't hear other people on the recording. Is that the case on Huzza, or do they just really overlay all the audio together so that when you have like 4 people talking, are you getting nothing but a huddled mess of audio of all 4 at once?
You can cut across each other. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. We'd have to check it out. We may have to do a test.
I would have to see a recording of like 6 people talking and see what that's doing, because that can get really ugly when you have a bunch of people communicating. If there is no focus filter there to mute out the other mics, which Blab did very well, honestly. In my
true individual mutes. Yeah, I mean that was a feature that we could all benefit from on all platforms. You can monetize Huzza. Because you can charge per show. There is a free version, but it's limited to 25 people and 1 host on screen. It does record for you. There is a green room and you can screen share. And you
can
screen share.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, you can screen share.
And you can actually use, the sound is taken care of? Okay, awesome, Barb. Glad to hear that. Because that was an issue I noticed when I first got out there on a couple of the early recordings that I saw. And even in the solo version, the free version, you can sell products on the sales tab that you can connect, like something from your personal inventory or something from an Amazon or affiliate link that you might want to broadcast during your show. You'd be a sole individual, more like a webinar type thing, but you could definitely have an offer available to those that come to the show, even if it is only 25 people. Sometimes it only takes 10 or 20 to actually make it worthwhile for the person that's broadcasting. So it's definitely got its pluses. And I'm not a big I have a Patreon account, Stephen, but I've never really utilized it. Have you ever considered, or are you using a Patreon account for?
I've had a look at it, but I haven't actually. And this is a link to the document we're talking about. I haven't actually used it now. I've had a look at it, and it's being sponsored is one way to go. But you are beholden then, and you don't have the same sort of freedoms. I mean, if you contract with somebody and they expect you to broadcast 5 days a week, then you should be broadcasting 5 days a week.
To some extent in that regard. I've seen people use it, though, for weekly shows. One individual in particular, Brian Brushwood, who I interviewed on Blab, who runs a show on Nat Geo and the Discovery Channel. He runs Scam School and Hacking the System, which are both network broadcasts, and also he has top ratings out on Netflix. His whole premise was to use Patreon as much as possible, as though rather than get like $10 or $100 from 1 or 2 individuals, try to get $1 from 1,000 people that want to come and see his show once a week. But then he also provides private content only to his Patreon contributors on the Patreon website that allows him to save out some of his, like the recordings or something like that, where they can come back and they have sole access to some of this additional information that the people who just come in live to watch the show don't have access to. So that was like the benefit plus that he gives by becoming a Patreon follower.
Sounds like a good idea. An exclusive club.
Kind of.
Yeah. Right, the next platform that I've not actually used yet. I just signed up for the trial yesterday. But the next
Mhm.
platform that is a possibility if you're looking for a Blab alternate is Crowdcast.
Yes, sir.
Um, have you had a
It's a
chance
little
to take
too
a look?
expensive for my blood.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a bit.
It is.
That's fair.
I mean, I saw Joel Com signed up for the $200 a month platform because that's what he wants to do. And that's where he feels that if you're going to pay for something, you kind of have more say and more control over the people running the show. Although I tend to that term is, to put it in those regards, I don't think he's correct in saying that. I think just because somebody charges you for a platform doesn't give you the right to say, okay, then I want this, and this.
Yeah.
They're setting a standard of what they're going to deliver and they're charging a fee for it. So if you go in there thinking that just because I pay you, you're going to give me everything I want, that's a bad way to look at it, I think. I think you should go in and say, well, thanks so much. You're giving me great quality. You're giving me this and that. And if I have some input, I'm going to give it.
Yeah.
But don't expect them to turn around and bend over backwards just because you said, hey, I want this and I want that.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
the
I
thing
pay you for it.
we've talked about this before. The best sites, the programmers work to their own schedule.
Yes,
The users
exactly.
put in a wish list, and the programmers prioritize that wish list and work to their own program. And I agree. I mean, paying money to a site doesn't give you, or shouldn't give you, special privileges. Now, in
No.
terms of the site itself, it is designed. It's got integration with about 180 different apps.
Yes, it does. And
Uh,
because it links through, oh, what's the name of that? You've got it listed there, I believe. I used to
Salesforce.
use it. Yes. Well,
Salesforce.
that not only that, but they use the same type of Stripe setup that Firetalk uses here for paid events. So if you wanted to set a ticket fee for your event through Crowdcast, you can use your Stripe account, which is simply a merchant account that's
Yeah.
online. And I use that all the time. I used it for a B2B business for a long time, and then I moved it over here to Firetalk to use it here. So that's one thing. Yeah, and I agree. I think that's a good point, Barb. She brings up the fact that they are into fee-based instruction. They are taking over the webinar competition, which I agree is a focal point that Crowdcast always had, was to try and do that. But I look at it from my perspective. I just paid a very minimal fee for a WebRTC platform that came out. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier, Webinar Ninja, that
Mhm.
allows me the ability to do all of that webinar type stuff, and I'll never pay another dime. I just won't. It's
Right.
I got in early when it first
Yeah.
got announced. So luckily now you have to actually pay like $85 a month to use it. But I don't have to pay that fee.
Right. But the quality on Crowdcast is good. It's up to 4 seats. You've got live chat, highlighted links, and links to views. You can monetize it by charging per show, and it's a maximum 120 minutes recording. And
Oh, okay.
the show cuts out. There's no green room, not as far as I know, and I'm willing to be
Yeah.
corrected. Errors and omissions accepted, and all this. You can screen share, and you do have moderator controls. The other thing that it has that the other platforms don't have, because I caught Joel's replay, is it's got the analytics. So
Yeah, that's true. That's
basically,
true.
you've got in the background, you can tell who's been watching the show, and if people ask questions, as the questions are answered, they're time synced with the replay, so that
Mhm.
if you've got if you go down the questions, you particularly want to know a particular answer, you can click on the question, it buzzes to the right point in the video, and you get the answer there and then
Oh,
without
nice.
having to play the whole video. And that's quite a good feature if you're doing marketing and people
Oh, for
looking
sure.
at a product interview, then they can skip and say, right, okay, I want to know what capacity it is, and just press the capacity question and whole lot of things. And it's designed for marketing. It's designed for direct marketing and possibly B2B as well. And Zeph Zan's over there, isn't she? That's where Zeph's taking
Yeah,
the show.
I think Zeph is everywhere, isn't she? She's, I don't think there's a platform that girl doesn't use, and she's very good at what she does. So that when it comes to the 200-mile-an-hour marketer, she's
Oh
definitely
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
girl that goes and drops herself in any platform that she can get her hands on. And it kind of brings up a point that I really do enjoy about Huzza is the fact that when you do go to the replays, you get to see the chat in real time as it was broadcast during the show, which is one feature we don't have here on Firetalk currently. I've discussed this with Caitlin in the past, and there's always the possibilities. What happens here on Firetalk is it's whatever chat was left after the last show on your channel. Now, in an event, it's a little different because it's a separate URL that's being used to broadcast an event versus your own personal permanent URL for your channel. But what you'll find is if you broadcast several shows off your channel, the only thing that will show up in a feed, like for instance, I actually created, and it was thanks to you and I actually discussing this at one point, David Vaughn had dropped a link on how to embed a Firetalk, because we don't have the feature readily available like we used to on Blab, where they gave us the embed code and we could simply go drop our show on our website and watch it live. But I can give a quick example. I'm just gonna, and I'm not gonna, sorry, let me close this volume off. I didn't mean to do that, sorry. I left my tab open over there. If I bring over my website on Leland Best, you can see I've embedded my channel from Firetalk onto my website. It's really strictly a simple iframe embed. There's not much to it, but it allows to keep the chat that way along the side of it. And that was one thing we had a problem with Blab, was that Blab never recorded the chat. And I believe now that you've told me Crowdcast does the same, I'm going to definitely be hoping to find people to push Firetalk a little bit in that direction and say, look, we want to see what people were saying during our show. We want to see the input. We want to see the links that were left behind. We want to see the questions people were asking, which we don't have here also in real time as a Q&A session, which they do have on Huzza. They do have on Crowdcast. And those are features that are being taken away from Hangouts on Air now. And expected to be handled in social media. So
it's an extra selling point, isn't it now? Because
I totally agree.
When comparing with Google or YouTube Live, the comments are important, because as you say, all the links are in there and the discussion. And the fact is that you can still click on somebody's name in the viewers or name in the chat, and you can subscribe to their channel.
Yes.
From a replay.
Yeah, and there's a warning. There have been some issues recently, and I addressed this with Caitlin the other day. Some people with iPhones and iPads, when they're in just to view a show here on Firetalk, and they go over to select someone's name and subscribe to them personal, they've gotten kicked out of the app. Now, they tried to recreate, but I don't think they were doing it the way I mentioned to them. I didn't spell out the details that well. So they're going to try and recreate the error again. It could be the fact that they need to upload an update for their app. But we're finding that is the case with some iPhone users. So just to be careful, if you're in a show that you really want to watch, don't go over to the chat and try to subscribe to anybody if you don't want to lose your app. Or not lose the app, but lose the show. So just something to consider for now.
I was watching Patricia's show on Firetalk earlier today, and there was a gentleman who was on his iPhone, and he successfully called in and appeared on the show, and it worked brilliantly.
Oh, awesome. Good job.
So that's sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that's good, because I know just the last few days we even had problems just coming in as a presenter. I know you had to invite me like 3 times last week to get me in, but today it was the first shot. I came in and everything works great. So hopefully that glitch has been repaired over here on Firetalk also. I
mean, John's question is, was he brought in by Patricia? And the answer to that is yes. He tried to get in he tried to get in himself. That didn't work. So she just pressed on his name in the live chat and invited him in, and that worked fine. So I look forward to seeing that on Chatting with Friends tomorrow on Firetalk. All right. Okay. John's explaining why there's no camera on that. So if you want to invite somebody on screen who's on the app.
Oh, I see. Okay. And I don't have an iPhone, so I wouldn't know that. That's something that is news to me. So there is no icon to invite yourself into the show. So you would have to request an invite through the chat. Type it in the text and go from there.
And just click on the name and bring the person in. So I mean, we're on Firetalk today, and why do you love Firetalk?
Honestly, I've had such good rapport with Caitlin and the team over here at Firetalk, and they've been very open-eared to listen to the input that I've had. I've brought a lot of people over to this platform. Actually, Jonah Pasquale is coming over this, I believe that's how he pronounces his last name. He is Hobble TV, but he's the guy that did Bike Chat over on Blab.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine that I met on early on Blab. He's coming over here to Firetalk. I know there are several others like Dunham Skywriter, who's Patricia, and Eileen's over here now. I know Jonathan's over here now.
Yeah.
There's several of them that have come over here. I think it's really the stability, to be honest with you, Stephen. The reliability of knowing that every time I fire up over here, it's pretty much consistent. And I know there are more features coming down the road that Caitlin has, teased me with a little bit to let me know, but she hasn't announced yet. So I stay in that regard. I think that keeps me here, knowing that they're willing to listen to the broadcasters and create that wish list, like you said, and then address them one at a time. And, email list building is one that's a real good potential possibility that's coming out here. The Q&A is another. And even offerings to be able to offer your products out here online are another thing that could be coming. But it's not to say we can't just drop a link in the chat. And, if we really want to sell something, that's been the way it's been done for years and hasn't really changed that much. And honestly, they're here because it's free. Yeah, why? That's another good reason, Barb. Honestly, why should I pay $40 a month for something when I have everything here that I need? And why, again, and that's another point you make, you don't find it any more reliable, then why do I want to pay $50 a month for something that's just as reliable as the other platform? So that's my take on it anyway. And I enjoy the quality. I like the look of it, the feel of it. The fact that it's a permanent URL channel that I can go to every time and just tell people, go find me at firetalk.com/Leland Best or BCB Live. And I'm here. The events are different, obviously, like what we did today. We have to share this out ahead of time, Stephen, or nobody sees it. So
that's true.
We do need to get a promo together, which I keep talking. We're going to do a video promo.
Yeah.
And then start advertising this event, set it up the week before and keep broadcasting out the event. And that way people will show up. So
the audience will come. I'm not too worried about that. As long as we enjoy this show and our friends are watching, that's all that needs to happen in the short term, medium term. Because the audience will appear from, as if we build it, they will appear.
Yeah, and just a question for Barb: what is missing here that a broadcaster needs in order to monetize? They give you a pay-per-view, they give you membership fee channels. You can drop a link anytime you want in the chat to sell a product. What is it we need as a broadcaster to monetize that's so lacking here on Firetalk? That's my question. I'm just curious. I have to ask that question because I find it kind of ironic that the other platforms, yes, I agree. Huzza has a great... Go back and listen to the recording of what I just broadcast. Okay, that doesn't answer my question. It makes it more difficult for me to get an answer, but that's fine. I can monetize this platform any way I want. I've got probably 10 ways I could do so. Patreon not being connected to it doesn't mean it won't be in the future. So
that's true. I mean, the simple connection of Stripe or PayPal.
Well, Paltalk just has the potential to make a huge deal with Snap, not to be confused with Snapchat. Obviously, Snap is a dating website program, or I should say, a huge conglomerate of dating websites. I'm sure that is being brought into Paltalk's entourage of platforms. I'm sure Paltalk has live video also over there now. It used to just be audio. Now it's also video. But I look at it this way. Firetalk's been around longer than any of these other platforms ever existed. Paltalk's been a professional broadcasting platform for a decade and has not gone away and has a very large following of members. All these other ones are all new. They've only been around for a year or two. And now I see, Firetalk has the opportunity to bring in a lot more broadcasters than it ever had the opportunity to before, and people are coming onto the platform.
Oh, that's right.
So what does that mean to Firetalk? They need to step up their game a little bit, and they don't intend on charging anything for this platform. They don't charge for Paltalk.
Indeed.
They haven't for years, for decades.
Yep.
So,
When you invited me across here back in May and gave us a tour, you could look at the front page, and the front page would show you featured shows, and it would show you featured shows, and there's a whole month on there. Yep.
mhm.
30 days of shows on the front page, and that was the situation then. Now, if you go to the front page, you've got 2 days shows, because
Yeah.
the number of shows is
Oh, yeah.
15 times more than it was back in May. And I think that's the way things are headed. It does something with discovery, but it shows that the channels are getting busier. And if you are on somebody's page, what I like is, used to
Mhm.
Blab hopping, and you go from channel to channel. If you're
Yeah.
actually watching on somebody's profile page, then you see the live shows at the top, and you
Mhm.
can channel hop.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
these things are already built in. We've not asked for them. As Lynn says, there's a direct channel through to the support, an official channel through
Yeah.
the Zendesk or through Caitlin, or a combination of both, and you get a response. And the support
Yeah, you do.
is discreet, but it's there. And
Yeah, I agree.
you built a good relationship with the people here.
Yeah. And you mentioned channel hopping, and I spoke with Caitlin the other day about the fact that Firetalk is lacking a search on their main page. They have no ability to search. And I think their original intent was they wanted to have that exclusivity. They wanted people to be invited over by the broadcaster. They wanted the following to be created by the individual who was creating the content.
Yeah.
Now they're realizing, as the following builds and as people are just showing up out of nowhere as a means to fulfill their live feed desires to just come and watch something live, they're realizing people do want to search members by name and find out if they're here on the platform, or find something by a category and be able to say, you know what, I just wanted to see something about dog grooming or whatever it might be. Is there a show on Firetalk about dog grooming? And that's one thing I'm going to be poking Firetalk about, is tagging videos and being able to have little keyword tags attached to your show so that people can find you in a search and be able to recognize, oh yeah, Leland's over here on Firetalk, but what is that his only show, or where's that one that he did about Huzzah, where you could go in and find a show based on a keyword tag. So those are huge selling points when it comes to broadcasting efforts, and knowing that people can find your replays, because that's one thing I love about Firetalk also, is the back end, the entire structure of the channel's features on the rear end of this site. It just seems so organized. The ability to upload to YouTube is fantastic. The videos are there, available for download almost instantly. Now in an event, it's a little different because it's a separate channel. You have to wait for the recording a little bit longer than on your private channel, but it's just one of those things. So
but the quality here as well. The quality of the broadcast and the quality of recording, I've not seen better anywhere. So when it comes to the live experience, everybody who's watching us today is seeing everything in great clarity. The fact is that you're in Michigan, I'm in Wiltshire, and we can cross the pond, and it's working seamlessly. And
sure is.
Welcome, Corinda. It's good to see you, and it's good to see you on Firetalk.
I use vMix, Corinda, just to answer your question verbally and quickly. It's software, and honestly, I'm using it in a setup in such a way, and let me do this because I know you want to wrap this show up, Stephen, real quick. I'm just going to head over here and put this behind me. This is the platform. Well, hold on, you probably can't see it just yet. It's going to come up in a second. It's because I have the wrong screen showing over there. Hold on one second. I flipped over the wrong screen.
I agree, Corinda. It's a shame that the Blab went away, but they gave us sufficient notice of it for the shows
we
to
miss
move.
it, don't we? We sure do miss it.
Well, no, the community's there. The community is still on Facebook. It's on Born to Stream, and it's other places as well. There's several Facebook groups which all started centered around Blab, but they've now moved on.
Absolutely. let me do this. For some reason, I'm getting, oh, there it was. I didn't see it there. This is the interface I'm working through, but honestly, if you guys don't realize, you might think I'm broadcasting from a pro version of this, which I am, but I've got it set up, believe it or not, to the features that you would have available in a basic free version of Emix, which is the lower resolution of 576p at 25 frames, which you can see down in the lower left corner if you can see it. If you can't, I can move it over just a little bit and you can see it right there by my head in my lower third across this way. You can see the resolution that I'm broadcasting at. So I'm putting out a lower resolution video and I'm only using the one overlay currently, which is my lower third. In order to get the green screen, you just have to have a backdrop, which is for me a $10 Walmart sheet hanging from a dowel from the ceiling. So it's not a $100 green screen setup that a lot of people tend to go buy on Amazon. It cost me $10 to set up, so not a big thing.
Okay.
All right, Stephen, take it away, and we'll call it another day out here across the pond.
I'll just answer Bob's question. You can delete videos. They store them as until you actually delete them. You can download several times. There's no problem on that score. We've got a full control panel behind all this, which is simply straightforward.
You see, Corinda brought up one that you didn't mention, which was in your article, which was Mimi.
Yeah, Bob, just go like that for a minute. There is another channel.
She doesn't like Mimi, I know.
No. There is another channel which is covered. If you go to this link, Corinda, I saw you on there the other day. I've covered Mimi TV on that link. It is British. It's British backed and British financed now. And if you just want to go and chat somewhere to friends, up to 4 friends at a time, then Mimi is the place to go. If you're running a show, it's not show ready. But in terms of going to get there for a chat, I had a good interview with Lorraine the other day, and we're in good touch, and she's doing good things and has good plans. But it's one step at a time. It is the same technology as Firetalk, but I would say that at the moment it's about 6 months behind Firetalk, at least in development. And I wish her every success. I am helping in the background, and British is best.
Yeah, and many more to come, I'm sure. I know Mike Scarezzi, I always pronounce his name wrong, of Go Live With, which we set up with months ago. It was supposed to go live by the end of August. So whether or not, or end of summer, he said. I haven't contacted him as of the last month or so, but there's good possibilities that WebRTC platform is going to become available in the next 30 days. And then we also have Appearin has announced that they will have a pro version available by the end of 2016. So one that I use regularly with my customers and clients is Appearin to sit in for as many as 8 people at a time. And if they have screen sharing and chat and other features available there, but it's when they actually open it up live to the entire, broadcasting group of folks that are out there wanting to use WebRTC platforms. I think Appearin Pro is going to be another contender in this whole thing. So we'll see.
Well, we've just blown an hour. It's just gone.
I know, right?
We've covered all the major platforms, so that's good. Thank you to our friends, to Corinda and Bob, and to John. It's been a blast.
Always a pleasure, Stephen. The next time I see you, I will be rolling over into my second half of my first century. I'll be 50 as of Thursday this week. So next week, I'll be telling you all about how my birthday shindig went over the weekend. So.
I hope you have the most wonderful day ever.
Thank you.
And I'll send you wishes on the day. And a card. I'll find a card from somewhere. And such a number is worthy of great celebration. And I hope you enjoy the day with your family. And we look forward to seeing everybody here next week on Firetalk. And so it's goodbye from myself for now.
From this side of the pond over in the U.S., you can find me out here at Firetalk anytime at firetalk.com/Leland Best or BCB Live. So thanks again, Stephen, once more. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.